Heads up! This podcast contains infrequent informal language. Please proceed with due caution.
This is Prompt Songs Podcast. If you are new to this show, we recommend beginning from the pilot episode and making your way through in order. If not, you'll pick it up along the way. Please enjoy the show.
Past 27 years now.
Yeah. Unless you were born at night.
No, he strikes me as a morning child.
Yeah. Early morning child. 4 a.m.
Who? Sorry?
You.
I'm not an early
what time
morning. Wait, when I was born?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You remember?
yeah.
You were there.
Sorry, I lost track of I lost track of the conversation. I was just confused for a
Oh,
second.
good.
I was born at 11 minutes before midnight.
Oh, very late child.
What about you?
6 a.m.
Damn, I was 10:30 p.m.
Oh, real.
and I was 7 days late.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Apparently it was 8 hours of labour, and I reckon that was not long enough. I didn't want to be born. That sounds depressing.
think that's
The baby
pretty
me did not
pretty
want to be
average
born.
labour.
That's how I should phrase it.
Baby would have rather stayed
Yeah.
on the juice.
Needed a bit more baking.
Okay.
Fuck, how do we start this one?
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to Sam's house. Whose prompt is first?
Yeah, welcome to my house.
Come into my house. Well, before we get into the songs for this one, just a quick note. Today is someone special's birthday. My niece turns 1 today. Also, Sam. Sam is turning an age, which I won't say, but happy birthday,
Happy
Sam.
birthday.
Thanks,
Sam.
guys.
Are you having a good day?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Spent most of the time just recording these songs.
As is tradition. And because it's your birthday, Sam, how about you pick who goes first?
Maybe I'll go first.
Oh,
I've never-
The birthday
it is
boy's
his
going
birthday.
first.
I've never gone first on one of these episodes, so interesting.
He must have a lot of confidence
And
if he
then-
wants to get it out the way.
Or maybe I just want to get it done so that you guys can follow up with better songs later. It's harder to follow someone good than go
Yeah,
before.
it's
you
like an
know what I mean?
opening act.
Maybe,
versus a,
maybe that's why you always go last, was because Adam and I know you write amazing songs, and it's like we don't want to follow simulation theory from the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
I still listen to that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You never know sort of how it's going to come out until you've recorded it and everything.
Very true.
It's interesting. You always perceive your own songs differently when other people are listening to them.
I've
Have you
always
noticed
found that. Yeah, when I write a song, if I hear the vocal melody in my head, you don't know what your voice sounds like. When you hear it back, it's like, that's not quite what I was imagining. And when I get given the prompts, I'm like, oh, it's going to sound like this. And then you start recording, and a lot of the times you're like, that's a lot of work. Maybe I'll just settle for this.
Yeah.
It is just a demo after all.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to start with the prompt that Adam gave me, and this is the lyric prompt was a crazy sail amongst the snails.
All right, Dr. Zeus.
And
Dr.
the lyric
Seuss.
And the style
throwing
prompt
lightning bolts.
and the style prompt was Britpop, which I don't think I really did. I heard a song by Blur, because I think Britpop is often more like sort of acoustic,
90s, yeah.
folky but rocky,
A lot of reverb.
right? And a bit of bluesiness mixed in. Whereas I heard this Blur song called Girls and Boys, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones.
And which that would technically be Britpop, right?
Well, yeah, Blur and Oasis are the two Britpop bands. Oh, and Radiohead kind of, but Radio
Yeah.
more alternative.
So this song has a big disco influence. So I
Wow.
thought,
Cool.
but he's still singing like punky stuff over the top, so it kind of sounds.
Well, that's the genius of Damon Albarn. That's the guy who
Yeah.
does Gorillaz. He's good whatever
Yeah.
he does.
So I tried to do that. So my backing is quite like funky and disco-y, and then I tried to do that Brit like kind of shouty singing over the top, but it didn't really work. I can't do a British accent, so I I tried to do that at first and then just gave out.
Before we listen to the song, Sam, Oasis or Blur?
Blur.
Adam, Oasis or Blur?
Oasis.
Just to contrast, Sam.
Just because I don't really know Blur except for
Oasis
you know,
are like
song two.
Beatles fanboys, though, and you're not a big Beatles fan.
Yeah, but I don't know Blur at all. So
Okay. And I more lean towards Blur, but Oasis do have some fantastic songs.
Cool.
And thus the argument is solved. Everyone can move on.
I thought it was Blur and Radiohead. Their fans
different
actually
bands.
war against each other.
and Oasis and Blur are the same band. So
Yeah.
that's no.
What is it called?
Snail Sail. I don't give my songs proper names before these.
Oh, like you're the one on the pilot. Bossa.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go.
Jeremy wants the latest and greatest. He wants to be the best. He wants to own expensive things so his peers will be impressed. His bank account might be waning and his budget might be stretched, but all they can see is the outside of the shell, and he'll have it sharply dressed. There's a crazy sale at the Snail Home Expo. 50% off and 36 months in. For the next 3 years only down by the old oak tree. Shine your friends, you'll be the envy of the menagerie. Jeremy pimped out a shell with no money down. Diamonds and gold and chrome, you can spot him in the crowd. Under his shell, you can see a neon glow, and from the top is a constant laser show. There's a crazy sale at the Snail Home Expo. Got everything you want, you'll be living in luxury. For the next 3 years only down by the old oak tree. The coolest nail in town, like it's better, just wait and see. He's got a new sound system, you'll hear him from a mile away. Blasting tunes that no one likes seems to make him feel okay. He's an asset to the party, it's everything you ever need. Every night's a rave, open and invite, he's got friends indeed. There's a crazy sale at the Snail Home Expo. Treat yourself, spoil yourself, you deserve it, don't you? For the next 3 years only down by the old oak tree. But we'll line up to meet you, a local celebrity. Jeremy couldn't make his payments, and now he's deeply in debt. The debt collector is a magpie and he's hungry for justice. He sees bright lights and now his target is set. There's a crazy sale at the Snail Home Expo. Selling luxury homes, fully furnished and decorated. For the next 3 years only down by the old oak tree. And tomorrow be the envy of the menagerie.
Cool, man.
Having a bit of fun with the wheel there.
Yeah.
That was a great drum machine. Did you program that?
No, it's just, I mean, I played it
Yeah.
on the pads, but I quantized it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I love the how the bass line is just backing up that drum beat.
Yeah.
And the bass line in
yeah.
itself
It really
is almost
gelled.
like a drum beat.
I think I played the bass line first on the keyboard and just looped it.
I was wondering
Oh, yeah.
if it was like a preset loop bass line, but it's cool that you played it.
No, yeah, I played it, and then I played the drum thing along with it on the pads. But then the bass and the drums were both quantized, so the timing was...
Quantizing
Alright.
is an electronic musician's best friend.
Yeah.
You've got some new gear, and that really showed.
Yeah. Yeah, so for my birthday, I got a new MIDI keyboard and also an interface. I've had them for a little while though, so I was able to record both songs on them. But yeah, so I really wanted to play around with the MIDI keyboard. So I did the drums, the bass, and the synth lines on there, and then I played some guitar and
Guitar straight
did the
in?
vocals. Yeah, just line straight in.
Yeah.
I just did a bit of compression.
Funky strumming does something for me. I don't know. Whenever there's funky strumming, I'm just like, hell yeah!
Yeah, that was the last thing I added actually, because
Oh,
I had it all there. I was like, it's just it was a bit boring. There was just something missing. So,
And for the first time, one of the three of us bravely ventured into the hip hop territory.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't me.
The rapping. Oh man, I was struggling with that. I was trying to go for trying to get a British like rap sort of sound as well, like like the people that rap on Gorillaz and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so the plot of the song is this snail named Jeremy wants to own lots of Flash things so that people think he's cool. So, but he doesn't have any money. So he buys all this crazy stuff for his house, which is his shell, which includes diamonds, gold, and chrome. Got a new sound system.
Yeah, I heard that line.
Yeah.
There was one part where it was like buying a new shell, no money down, diamond encrusted. I was like cracking up at that. That was cool.
Is it also because he can't
interest-free.
win anything at auctions because he's not quick enough?
Maybe. And then in the last, I don't know if you guys caught this, but in the last verse it says, Jeremy couldn't make his payments, now he's deeply in debt. The debt collector is a magpie and he's hungry for justice. He sees bright lights and his target is set. So essentially the Snail Emporium hires a magpie, and if you don't make your payments, then the magpie comes and eats you, and then
steals the shiny stuff.
They sell the stuff onto the next person.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I loved it.
Thanks. Who's next?
You're the birthday boy.
Your
You
choice.
decide.
What about Adam?
All right.
What song do you want to do first?
My Big Hair Ballad from Ryan, which had the prompt that it had to be like fairy tale. It was like prince frogs and princesses.
Yeah.
Love Will Save is what
Love
it's
Will
called.
Save. Yeah, I read that when I was downloading it, and I was like, is this an incomplete title, or is this the...
I don't know. It's just a working title. I finished this a long time ago, so I can't remember. Let's just listen to it. I think, I've kind of like lost my voice, I guess, my singing voice, because I haven't practiced much in the last like 3-4 months. So I just mixed the singing down quite low because I thought the singing sounded pretty bad. So, but yeah, we'll see. weird listening to it through like when I listen through my headphones. I guess they're quite bassy because I thought I mixed like the vocals a lot lower. And then I listen now, they're like really loud. Like
rule number one for mixing: mix on different mediums, speakers and headphones.
I definitely thought the vocals could have been louder though, because I couldn't quite make out some of the lyrics in that. But
I think that was the intention.
Yeah, some of the singing was quite like dodgy, so I just thought like, put it lower.
But I think that was a perfectly fine arrangement. Like your use of harmony and melody, it really reminded me of a song that we did in the past called Serenity. There's a section in there which is orchestral that I think you did arrange it yourself.
Yeah.
And the intro really reminded me of that, and then it kept on going throughout the song.
Oh yeah.
It's like, this is a really good, like, interesting voicings, and it's really affecting the song.
Harmony was cool. It sort of made me think of like maybe an Elton John song or something like that.
Oh right.
I was thinking like Bonnie Raitt, even.
Oh yeah.
Like female 80s vocalists. Their kind of arrangements and growing and
sort of gospel influence there. Yeah.
I kind of like wrote a bunch of lyrics and then was like, I don't like these, and then I just improvised. That's what I always do. I'm always like, I don't like what I've done, I'll just improvise it, and then what I improvise, I'm like, yeah, good enough.
It's quite funny how many of our tracks that we've done for this podcast have been improvised on the spot. I've done at least 2.
I don't think I've done any, but
I think, and like you can tell in the chorus, I was like, this chorus sucks. It just needs to be like, the same thing said around and around, and it just needs to be some like cheesy thing. So then I was just like, love will save me, and then you can tell on the last line I was like, didn't know what to do, so I was just like, love. It's just like cuts off prematurely.
Come on, love. But that's very characteristic of 80s big hair ballads.
Yeah.
The guitar
was just keyboard guitar.
Yeah. He contacted me straight after the recording, was like, can I borrow your guitar? And I was like, yes, but I do have work and I'm working on some stuff. And so I was like, I'll see what I can do. It really reminded me of Brian May.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Really good sound.
Really epic and layered.
Yeah, same with the drums, was just keyboard drums.
That I could tell.
The
snare didn't have much weight to it, unfortunately.
So it's not actually MIDI, it's the sounds inside the
synthesizer
thing.
Is MIDI. But,
I've never heard you write anything like it.
Oh, real?
But I could totally see that being in the hit parade in the 80s.
That's the cool thing about these prompts, though, is that we're definitely all pushing
We can hear Adam do an 80s hair ballad, and we can hear Sam doing some slam poetry and hip-hop. Yeah. I guess that means I'm next. Which one would you like to hear? Would you like to hear your birthday song first or last?
I want to hear the Pink Floyd one.
Okay. Not to toot my own horn, I think this is the best song I've ever written. And it's the best mix I've ever done. I'm stupidly proud of this. Like, after I finished this, I listened to it maybe a dozen times before today, just the mix itself, and I was like a proud dad.
Oh shit.
That's my song. I'll save any excuses until afterwards, and I'll let the song speak for itself. It was a prompt from Sam. I had to emulate the style of Pink Floyd, which is a very important and favourite band of mine. And the lyric prompt was Daydreaming in the Waiting Room, and the song is called The Waiting Room.
Sorry to disturb you so late this Friday night. It's a long, long story, but I'll try to stick to just what matters. I can see this waiting room is full of noise of tears and sleepy heads. Grab the phone, try to find a seat, and not cause any fuss. Settle down on the pen. Through the waves of pain, I try to settle my scattered vision on the phone. Words on the page reflect in my eyes, never quite sink in. Like a teacher's words in the afternoon, never get past the pupils. And I'm bleeding out, I'm bleeding out in the waiting room. And I'm bleeding out, slowly fading, drifting to the light. Blurs and morphs into a haze. My mind adrift, my thoughts afloat, like jellyfish drifting for the rocks. The sea so blue turns violet now. An underwater flare for sharpened teeth. An escaped cough pulls me back to the room where death watches and waits. And I'm bleeding out, bleeding out in the waiting room. I can feel the pain. The bullet pulses and slows my fading heart.
Cymbals shine.
Yeah.
Cool.
First half I played with mallets on the drums.
Oh, really? I love the sound of mallets on cymbals.
And my bass guitar has flat wound strings, and I've decided I really like flat wound strings.
Yeah, they're great, eh?
release it on Spotify, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's ready to go out.
That's great.
Yeah, I kind of put a lot of effort into this one because Pink Floyd, like I said, are a band that I really respect and am influenced by. I mentioned in the last podcast, David Gilmour is probably my biggest influence as a guitarist.
Yeah.
So I felt a bit of pressure. I had to try and do his sound. I'm not used to doing clean sound guitars, but I know I need to bend a lot of notes. I had to pick the right era of Pink Floyd that I wanted to emulate because there's like maybe 4 or 5. There's the Sid era, then there's the experimental phase, then there's the Dark Side of the Moon to the Wall phase, and then there's the Without Roger phase. So I decided to go pre-Dark Side, but not too early. I went for middle. Has the song Echoes on it, which my middle section is almost directly ripped off that vamp.
Is that the exciting section?
Yeah, the guitar solo. Yeah,
that was cool. My favorite part.
And then I had to emulate the playing of 4 of the best musicians in the world. David Gilmour's guitar, which I had a good run at. It was really fun being Roger Waters on bass because he's quite a fun bass player. Nick Mason on drums. Like I said, I really let the cymbals shine. And Rick Wright, I'm not a keyboardist, so I just went for atmospheric kind of keyboards and then added an organ in the middle. Then for the lyrics, we mentioned Britishness. Your prompt wasn't really something you'd find on a Pink Floyd album, except maybe The Wall,
Right.
which is a bit later on. So I decided to do something that was inherently British instead. And so what's more British than queuing and not talking about your problems? So the story is about someone who goes to the waiting room who's been shot, but they don't want to cause a fuss. So instead of saying, hey, I've been shot, I need immediate attention, they go, oh, I'll just sit down and wait my turn. And then this is their thoughts as they're slowly dying.
Right.
Because they're too polite to say, I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shit. Wow.
nice
That's
guitar
cool.
playing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All the
My
sounds
fingers
are great.
hurt afterwards.
It's a cool thing about, like, because I found this last time when I did the Wolfpack one,
Yeah.
is that when you're doing a band that has quite distinctive members on each instrument, you can kind of go, oh, I'm going to try and play guitar like this person.
Yeah.
But I think you did a great job there.
I had a mental checklist of what the song needed. I wanted to throw in a slide guitar, but Gilmour plays lap steel.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible
Pedal
at
steel.
regular slide.
That's hard.
So I had an acoustic guitar just as a nod to songs like Fat Old Son and Wish You Were Here, but then got a bit rocky in the middle just as a nod to Echoes and those epics that they've done. Listen to Pink Floyd. It improves your life. We were recording this in a new year, and I thought, what better way to nod off the previous year by talking about our favourite album of the year we were born.
Yeah.
Oldest first?
Sure. My album is Face First by Tribal Tech.
From the year...
From the year 1993.
Oh, I'm familiar with that, yeah.
And it's just something that I kind of listened to when I was in university, you know, because it's got Gary Willis, who's like a really prolific bass player. Scott Henderson, do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are the 2 main guys of the band. And they just play like fusion. And I think, the song Salt Lick is really good. And I just picked that album because, you know, Gary Willis is just such a prolific player and a bass innovator. He invented... Have you ever seen those basses with, like, you've got a block of wood behind the strings? It's called a bass ramp. And basically it's to make your technique better so you don't put your fingers too far behind the strings.
Right.
Oh,
And,
right.
Gary Willis invented that. You know, not only innovating in terms of playing, but also, like, the actual physicality of the bass. So
whereabouts in their career were they at this stage, do you know?
No, not really. Tribal Tech's not really a band I've listened to that much. I think this kind of like a couple years in. I think they started in the 80s, like late 80s.
Well, Fusion started in the 70s and kind of had staying power, was probably not the right term, but it stayed constant for the next few decades. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it. It's kind of like progressive jazz in a way.
It kind of goes between, like, it's almost progressive rock in some places.
Yeah.
Like when you go to like John McLaughlin and Aldi Meola and things like that.
There's a Japanese band called Cassiope, and
yeah,
it's a lot of staccato hits that the whole band does.
It's very open and broad spectrum of sounds that people like. Sometimes it's really funky, but sometimes it's really like rock or really world influenced.
Jazz with a groove.
Yeah.
But not swung necessarily.
Yeah, it can literally be anything, I think.
Yeah, I guess fusion is saying like a combination of two genres, but it's like
how do you
Fusing the genre.
Yeah.
Well, I am also a 93 baby. This was really hard. I said this kind of as I sent this subject off to Sam and Adam with a kind of like, it'll be easy. Take your pick of the many albums. And then I actually had to sit down and research the bands I liked, and none of them really released in 93. So I kind of had a bit of a panic. I found one or two. The runner-up ended up being an album I'd never heard before by a local musician, Chris Knox. But all his albums are very much similar quality. They're quite tough to get into, but he is a pioneer in what he did. I ended up picking a Fishman's album, Fishman's being a band I recommended before. I recommended their album Orange, and this is the album before. Their 1993 album, Neo Yankees Holiday, which was an interesting period for the band because that was the last album that they were a 5-piece before they cut down to 4 and then 3. And they were kind of getting out of they're shaking off their pop and normal rock phase, and they started getting a little bit more experimental. The opening song, Running Man, is like a really classic Fishman song. The tones are like really rich and really feel good. The main song that everyone will know is called Ikarete Baby. Ikarete means crazy. It's a very influential dub song. If you talk to Japanese people, they don't know Fishman's, but they know that song. The rest of the album plays around with things like unconventional vocals and jazz trumpet on Smiling Days Summer Holiday. Just Thing I like to call hip-hop cordial because it's kind of hip-hop for beginners, and it's interesting as a drummer because all the emphasis is on the hi-hat. You can't really hear the kick. You'd only hear it if it got taken out, and the snare isn't very predominant at all. Paradise is like the perfect song, as the title would suggest. And then they play around with samples on a song called 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a great album by a great band. I don't think there's one album in their discography that I would turn my nose up at. They're all distinct and very good at what they do, which is a interesting experimental kind of dub. It's just a shame they're not really at the same capacity that they were.
All right.
Cool. And the youngest.
Yeah. So, I was born in 94, just a little bit after these guys. And the album I picked was Grace by Jeff Buckley.
That's a good one.
It's a killer album, eh? Holy crap. And it was his only album, his only studio album that he released before he passed away at a young age. It's incredible how much influence he's had just from that.
Yeah. A lot of people say he's got the best version of Hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, which I didn't realize was actually released posthumously. But
oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't think that was actually on this album. But man, his singing style is so emotive. I think it's sort of like sets a mark. I think that I want to try and reach with my singing, but it'll be a long time.
He was a singer-songwriter, right? He played his own piano and guitar.
I think so. Yeah. Well, I know he played guitar and sang. I've seen definitely videos of him just doing solo things. But yeah, but he's got a lot of rock stuff.
Yes.
Like his album's quite eclectic. There's lots of different sort of genres mixed in there.
Before he released that album, was he quite up and coming already? Did he have a bit of following?
I think so. I think his dad was a famous musician as well. Right. Yeah. But anyway, heck of an album. I don't know much about, the background of it, but I just love his music.
Yeah.
Hello, Ryan Eddie Hale here. If you're enjoying the show and want to stay updated, please feel free to follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this on. Also, if you would like to know when the next episode goes live, or want to receive relevant updates, plus lyrics and photos from each recording, make sure to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Furthermore, if you search Prompt Songs Recommendations into Spotify, we've set up playlists for each episode with a list of all the music that we've mentioned or recommended for easy access. Now, back to the show.
You want to go?
So I guess we're starting with Birthday Boy again?
Yeah, back into my songs, and I'm going to put a bit of a sad note onto it. Because Ryan's prompt for me
was ill-timed, and I apologise so much. I intended for it to be... I've never heard Sam do folk, and he would do such a good folk song about something that's like beautifully tragic. and
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen the following week.
So Ryan's prompt for me was, folk was the style, and the prompt was an elderly person going for a walk on the last day of their life.
Describing what
Describing,
they see and how
yeah.
they're feeling, yeah.
A couple of weeks after that, I actually lost a close family member. So I sort of pivoted and ended up just making the song more about them. It's about walking through a park that we used to go through as when I was a young kid, and just reminiscing about time that we spent together. It's called Leaf on a Stream, and actually it's kind of fitting. I was sort of trying to go for a bit of a Jeff Buckley Hallelujah kind of vibe for the song. Yeah, still needs a bit of work. I was sort of still working out how to sing it properly. Took a bit of practice, but so I might need to re-record it at some point to get it just right. But which I want to do for this song. It's kind of a meaningful song for me.
Fair enough.
But yeah, let's give it a listen.
These steps I take today are the same ones we made before we said goodbye. Retrace the path we took back when the world was magic, like a children's book. We colored over the lines and filled in every space with frogs and fairy dust. As I age, colors fade, but when I'm here it feels like only yesterday. We were together hand in hand, armed with bread and dreams. Time flows by like the river beneath my feet. Now you drift away like a leaf on the street. This place still glows like my childhood eyes once saw it. Bright orange, blue and green. I feel your hand guide me to see past what blinds us to the beauty in everyday things. High fashion made from plastic bags and fine art made from old rags. Cracking jokes until the end, leaving us with smiles and tears. I know if I ever need you, we'll be together hand in hand, armed with bread and dreams. Time flows by like the river beneath my feet. It beat us to the ocean, but you'll always be with me in my memories and dreams.
Cool. Beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think folk music has a really kind of strong emphasis on the lyrics with like the quiet music in the background, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very descriptive lyrics.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
I
you
think-
nailed the folk
yeah.
tone with that perfectly.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, it's quite a cathartic kind of style, eh?
How was that listening back to it, by the way?
It was alright. I've listened to it a bit and sort of been singing it for the last week or so, I've sort of, it's not as hard to do.
It came from a very real place, and that's where the best songs come from. I reckon.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, because just a little story. So we used to walk down, it's just a little path near where they used to live, and we'd pick leaves off of a bush and throw them. So there was a bridge that went over a stream, and we'd stand on the bridge and throw the leaves off into the river and race them. So that's sort of what the hook was about.
My brother and I used to do that at my grandparents' place. We'd get a certain style of leaf, and then you get the stem and poke it through the front. And there was like this little water feature that my granddad built. My brother and I would race them to the end. I found that really striking, the line, armed with bread and dreams.
Oh, yeah.
That was, very... I was there.
Because we'd go down there to feed the ducks. Yeah. But when we went, we'd always go and spend our holidays with this person. And she had such a vivid imagination, and she sort of brought all us kids into her world. So it was kind of like, I don't know, fairies and, all that sort of stuff, like frogs. And so it was sort of like those imaginary things when you're a kid. You believe them, it kind of becomes real.
Yeah,
when an adult tells you
your imagination as a musician. Yeah. I just wanted to say, great guitar tone on the acoustic.
Oh, thanks.
It matched really well with the electric, and just the fact that those were the two instruments. You managed to make something really powerful just with those two and building the tension.
Cool. Yeah, it was Dad's old guitar.
The Yamaha, I love that guitar.
And just on this mic here, it was kind of awkward because the only mic stand I can put this mic on is a straight one.
Vertical, yeah.
And I didn't have a guitar strap on my guitar, so I had to stand on a chair and sort of hold it up real awkward. So
suffer for your art.
Yeah, it was a bit pain. Towards the end, I was getting a bit sore just from holding it in such an awkward position. But yeah, definitely paid off, I think. The electric guitar wasn't too keen on the tone of that because it was...
I thought it was okay. Was it the Fender or the Gibson?
It was my Gretsch running through my pedal board.
That makes a lot of sense.
Going straight into the desk, so I didn't use an amp or anything.
Yep.
And probably would have sounded better if I used an amp. Just give it a bit more brightness.
Yeah, you would have given it a bit more noise.
Yeah.
I also have a final note here. Good luck, Adam, following that.
Well, yeah. I think my song is... I'm not a guitarist. My next one is just guitars and vocals. Or just guitar and vocal. No plural. And I just wrote a verse and a chorus. It's a prompt from Sam. Nirvana, and it had to be... The lyric prompt was different kinds of flowers. So, I didn't go heavy Nirvana. I did the, heart-shaped box kind of finger-picking stuff. But yeah, let's have a listen.
What's it called?
Wildflower.
Dandelions growing on the side of the highway. Down past the rail in the brambles is a spot of deadly nightshade. I'll keep my eyes on the road, buttercup, or I'll end up pushing daisies. I'll keep my hands on the wheel, sunflower, carnation, daffodil, either way. I just want to grow like a wildflower. 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 I just want to grow like a wildflower.
Cool. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
I reckon that sounded Nirvana. The chord sequence was really Nirvana-esque.
Yeah, especially the chorus.
I think the verse, I kind of went for that sharp 4 thing that they do a little bit. And
they're actually they've got really intricate chord sequences, eh? You kind of think of them as this grungy...
I would say they're got really kind of interesting, beautiful harmony that's hidden behind ugly veneer. It's
actually, beautiful writing under a grungy exterior.
Yeah.
But I think you've captured that really well.
Kurt used to sing quite raw, and like your take there was very raw.
Yeah, it was just kind of one take.
I could imagine that on the Unplugged show they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, very good topic. Like you called when you said Wildflower, I was like, yeah, that's a Nirvana song, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
It was cool the way you interpreted the prompt and sort of
Yeah, I
put a bit of a narrative to it.
kind of just chucked different flower words in there.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the verse, I just started saying different flowers. Like,
But it really suited the tone, like talking about the different shades of flower. That was quite cool. Right. So Adam asked me to do a song for Sam's birthday, and then we ended up recording this on Sam's birthday. Do I make excuses now? The style had to be a guitar ensemble with at least 4 guitars, and I think I ended up using 6 or 7, not necessarily all at the same time. I tried very hard to make it serious, Sam. I tried so hard, and some of it is. And that'll have to do. This is called Thoughts on Your Birthday.
It's your birthday again. Time to look back on the days that have passed. Some good, some bad, some puzzling. But feel safe in the knowledge that it's not your last. You have eaten many chickens, like a disturbing amount of chickens. Genuinely, everyone stop and think how many chickens that you've eaten all within the last 12 months. How many single birds there'd be if they were in this room right now. Cluck, cluck. Oh, Sam, I got a little sidetracked. Let's celebrate your birthday and take a little trip. To where? Don't care. How about the beach? Sun, sand and waves, let's take a little dip. But of course this isn't all water. Many people piss into the sea. And do you ever stand and watch and think, I wonder how much water that I will ever consume? How much would that look represented visually as part of the body of water that I'm looking at? Glug, glug. Oh, Sam, I've rambled again. Put upon your party hats and wash your hands. Let's chat, let's laugh, we'll have a tasty jam. Remember when the 3 of us were in a band? You have met so many people, like thousands and thousands of people. Do you ever wonder if your friends have ever talked about you when you're not there? Are they talking shit or plotting your demise? Murder! Oh, Sam, forgive me for my rambling. Existential crisis on your special day. Have a drink, take a bite, take your second solo too. Where are the people on the plane above me going? It's your birthday. How many won the lottery but never checked? Oh, your birthday. How much sugar has ever been through my stomach? Oh, your birthday. How many people I know have cheated on their partners? Oh, your birthday. Who will be the first to use sarcasm on Mars?
what was the last line?
I tried so hard to be serious.
What was the last line? How many people?
Who will be the first to use sarcasm on Mars?
That's a good
Which I
question.
think is going to be the title for this episode.
No, I thought it was great. I loved it.
Okay, so I addressed the seriousness. I had to revise because I found out the same news that you found out, your unfortunate news. And I had a verse about that third verse, you've met so many people, like thousands and thousands of people. It initially followed, do you ever stop and think, I wonder if I've ever met someone who then later on passed away and I just never knew about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that would be a little inappropriate. And then the airplane one at the end, it was about the people in the airplane, and it was things like, how many people on the airplane have ever seen someone die? And so I conferred with Adam, and for the first time I said, hey, can you listen to my prompt and let me know if it's appropriate? And Adam was like, that's fine. That's not so fine. I'd redo that. So this is the second version. If we ever release all these, I might release the original with it so people can hear. I used to do a lot of guitar layering, like I did with that, with some of the earlier stuff I used to make. So it was fun to do that again. And yeah, a lot of those are real existential crises I've thought of. And some of them I thought up on the spot, like the Mars one. But I wish I had more thoughts like that. Because who will be the first? I reckon it'll be quick.
I mean,
surely the first person will step on and be like, oh, I can't wait to meet the locals.
Yeah.
Yeah. How sarcastic are astronauts generally? I don't know.
Oh, Buzz Aldrin seems pretty sarcastic. I'm sure he was the first on the moon to use sarcasm.
Yeah, cool. Oh, thanks. What did you used to make that like spooky guitar tone? Is it like reverse?
Like the those kind of sounds?
Yeah.
Oh, it's that's a good question. Oh, I think no, actually it might have been a cassette tape emulator, and I just really warped it.
Yeah.
But the ones that you were saying, what were that? That was just me using a slide. On the above the sound hole on the acoustic,
because it was a very good effect for just instantly changing the
I sang this far away for like the proper stuff, and then I got really close for the existential crisis.
I struggled to hear a lot of the lyrics, so it'd be good to like see the written out one.
Yeah, at the end I should have boosted my voice a bit. There's a lot of silly questions, really.
Yeah.
I think one thing you did really well was like separate all the guitar sounds pretty good.
Yeah, the bass line is a acoustic guitar just with like boosted bass, and then the chords were somewhere on the fretboard, and then the melody was higher. I always have that in mind. I need to frequency stack.
Yeah, so it was a nice balance.
Yeah, that chicken one.
Yeah,
that is a genuine thought I have, because I eat too much chicken. Like, if I took all the chicken I'd eaten in 1 year and then put that into representation of actual birds in the room with me, I'd be pretty shocked at myself, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the main one I have is that ocean one. Like, I look at the ocean and go, how much water am I going to use to shower? Am I going to drink? Is in my food. Like, if I could see that right now, would it be out of my eye line, or would it just be this weird block in the water? Yeah.
Who knows?
That'll be my life's mission. Calculations.
Just collect it all.
And then when I'm in front of it, just like, and now I drink and grab a straw. Do we do prompts first or then recommendations, or the other way around?
You're the boss.
I love that song. And now it's going on the recommendations playlist just so I can add You're the Boss. Adam.
Yes?
For your next prompt, I would like you to do it in the style of an unknown 80s band called Talking Heads.
Okay, I have to look them up.
Yeah. I recommend their concert Stop Making Sense.
I know them very well and love them.
Which is why I'm giving you the prompt. You are allowed to use up to 3 chords.
Up to 3?
Yes, you don't have to use 3.
Including 3?
And if you want to change the chord technically by changing the bass while the bass chord is still the same, as in like the triad, I'll allow that.
Okay. So I'm allowed as many slash chords as I want.
Pretty much. I think you can manage with just straight chords though. Because I'm pretty sure Once in a Lifetime is just 3 chords, or maybe even 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the subject is, I want you to brag about a body part.
Okay.
But I said that without intending it to be dirty, because I imagine David Byrne would be like, look at this arm, this is all the things my arm can do.
Yeah.
So,
I think Talking Heads wouldn't be like, I got a huge dick. Like, it's not really.
David Byrne, you still got time. And Sam, the birthday boy, I would like you to do an a cappella song. However, I will allow you, if you wish, to have one monophonic accompaniment, like a bass guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Or a synthesizer line, akin to, have you heard the song The Longest Time by Billy Joel?
Yeah.
For the longest time. I had it on the radio and I'm like, shit, that's just voice and a bass.
Yeah. You know that Bobby McFerrin's Don't Worry, Be Happy?
I wrote that as well!
That's...
Yeah, so those two, yeah.
And so you want it to be rhythmic and like bouncy, kind of like that?
Not necessarily. Just it has to be a cappella, and you can have the accompaniment if you want. And the topic is blind, so being blind or just lack of vision, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next?
Sure. So Adam, your prompt is a la Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, so I've got Talking Heads and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. Two funky kind of things. And then the lyric is about the last day of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very quiet day. Adam and I spent the evening together playing Magic the Gathering.
I pretty much did nothing that day, actually.
And Ryan,
except for hanging out with you. That is something. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, I said Magic the Gathering, and I'm sure half the audience went, nerds!
And Ryan, your prompt is to write a song a la Michael Jackson.
Oh, shit.
About wooing a woman.
How old is the woman?
That I'll let you decide that.
Well, a lot of his songs are about that topic, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, just write a Michael
Billie
Jackson
Jean.
song.
You mean wooing a woman? Or a woman?
Cool. My two prompts.
I'm going to write wooing a lady.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. It just sounded funny.
Wooing a lady.
It sounds more respectful.
It does. Yeah.
Wooing a bird.
So my prompt for you, Sam, the genre is free jazz.
Ooh.
I want a bass vamp. I want you to use a motif.
Okay.
You don't have to necessarily sing if you don't want to, because it's, free jazz.
Yeah, it's free jazz. Anything goes.
But the topic is glaciers, because I find that when I listen to free jazz, I generally think of, landscapes or...
You can call it tip of the iceberg.
And for Ryan, I want electronic music, but also minimalist. And
so not necessarily ambient?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
But just minimalist. And the topic is introspection.
Because I don't do that. Cool, yeah. I love a band called Yellow Magic Orchestra, and they ended up being a bit minimalist electronic, so I got a bit of research to start there. In terms of recommendations, I've gone slightly left-wing with this one. Skip back 160 odd years or so. There is a composer from France called Hector Berlioz. And I was introduced to his Symphonie Fantastique in high school by our head of department in high school music. He showed it to us, and it really made an impression on me. It's kind of one of the first big grand songs that has a story to it. It's got 5 movements, and all of them have a narrative to it. It's kind of like the first psychedelic song as well, because he apparently wrote some of it on opium, and that really shows in the part of the story where it gets really psychedelic. I've seen it live twice, once locally here at the Auckland Town Hall it must have been the Auckland Symphony Orchestra, but the best time I saw it was 2 years ago in my favourite venue of all time, the Royal Albert Hall in London, England. Yeah. It was filmed for the BBC Proms. They had, it was just amazing. All the orchestra wore masks, all the strings that could stand were standing, which you never see in a classical concert.
Yeah.
They were using a lot of stage props, and they were using the narration between the song, but they were also breaking down the song and saying, here's the motif. You will hear it be like reprised throughout the song, and it really reinforced this image. And it's one of my favorite things to listen to. I highly recommend that people check it out.
Cool. All right, on to me. So yeah, actually, I've been listening to quite a bit of jazz recently because...
You like jazz?
I like jazz. But partly because my family member that passed away, they used to like the style of music as well, and it was something that we sort of bonded over. I don't know if they listen to this specific person, but I just recommend this. So it's Paul Desmond, who used to play in the Dave Brubeck band.
Oh, right.
Dave Brubeck's music's very famous, but Paul Desmond was a saxophone player, and he has a really nice sound, really nice tone, very kind of mellow and smooth. He plays alto saxophone, but you wouldn't, it sort of sounds like a tenor because it's so warm, and it's just really relaxing to listen to. It's good if you're cooking, or if you just want something on in the background and you just want to sort of relax.
If you're wishing a friend a happy birthday, but then you have a sudden crisis. How many people have ever drunk out of this glass?
And fun fact, so he used to play in Dave Brubeck's band. Apparently he had a contract with Dave Brubeck that he wasn't allowed to record with any other piano players.
Oh, real.
So
he's dodging piano.
Yeah,
players.
so all his albums have guitar, and so a lot of his albums were done with Jim Hall, who's one of my favorite jazz guitarists. So I always love listening to Paul Desmond albums because I get to listen to Jim Hall as well, and it's awesome.
I love stories like that. Lou Reed, he had a contractual obligation for one more album to his label that he hated. So being Lou Reed, he was like, well, what is music anyway? So he turned his guitar on and just put it into the amp, and the feedback for 40 minutes is the album.
And my recommendation is actually also a jazz album, but not a relaxing one. It's Miles Davis' Bitches Brew.
Ah, yeah, it's a good one.
Just because I was thinking about free jazz when I gave you that prompt, but it's just really chaotic and...
it's quite fusion-y too, that one?
Yeah.
So is this like 70s Miles or later on?
It's like the first free
I think
jazz
it's
album.
60s.
Oh, early. Okay.
Like late 60s, I think.
Very versatile player. Very colourful person.
Yeah, and it's just like awesome musicians improvising completely. And it's just incredible.
Do you have a favourite track?
My favorite one is probably Spanish Key. It's very cool. And just kind of like...
25 minutes long, isn't it?
yeah, it is, I believe. But like, yeah, I think free jazz kind of gets a bad name, but when you listen to that, it's got like bass vamps in it.
Yeah.
It's got like really grooving sections. And just because it's all improvised doesn't mean it's necessarily like
It's
Well, I think
waffling
free jazz
bullshit.
it's
you
not
know?
unstructured.
Yeah.
Yeah, free jazz gets its bad rap from students playing it. When it's someone like Miles Davis playing it, I'd give it a
I
listen.
think jazz gets a bad rap from that. People just
I
hear
think
bad
rap gets a bad rap.
I think rap's pretty popular.
Wait until I try.
Oh yeah, well you heard me try today, and
It was fun. It was acceptable.
I was embarrassed because my office is right through the wall from our neighbour, or like where I recorded the song, so I was just sort of like not really going for it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe for the next one we might hear a little bit of different ambience. It'd be nice to record one outside if the weather's all good.
Oh, yeah.
So you might hear a nice bit of New Zealand music in the terms of the insects and birds that we have. So
Yeah.
if you don't like what we're saying, just listen to the background noise.
Gotta remember hay fever medication.
Yeah. Great place to listen to me attempt to play Michael Jackson. Oh, if I fail, I can just beat it. Oh!
That's a great. I reckon that's a closing line.
That's it for this episode. To access lyrics and photos from the recording of the show, or just to stay updated with releases and relevant news, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Reddit. Your support and feedback is much appreciated, so leave us a comment on what you enjoyed, or send in a prompt of your own that you would like one or all of us to tackle. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Brum Songs Podcast is the independent work of Ryan Eddie Hale, Adam Riddell, and Sam Swindells. All music featured is original, and all relevant rights belong to those parties.